Getting into the Ivy League like Harvard, Yale, and Princeton is getting more competitive than ever. In today's day and age, getting a 4.0 GPA and a 1600 SAT score is simply not enough. There's just way too many students with perfect grades and stats that you really need to stand out from the rest of the pack to get your foot into the door. In today's video, I'm going to go exactly what you need, including your academics and extracurriculars and a complete roadmap of how you need to build a robust academic and extracurricular profile to maximize your chances of getting into a top tier school. So without further ado, let's get started. The very first thing you need is academics. And like I said, while the academics are not something that's going to necessarily separate yourself apart, they are still important of your application that you ideally want to get right in order to maximize your chances of getting in. So one of the first things I look for is your GPA. Now, with regards to your GPA, I like to see at least a 3.9 unweighted out of 4.0. Now, I know a lot of schools, they have the weighted GPA and they have the unweighted, but I'm really looking for the unweighted GPA because that GPA tells me how many A's, B's, or C's that you have on your transcript. And so a 3.9 unweighted GPA typically means no more than 2 or 3 B's in your entire high school career. And ideally, the fewer number of B's, the better. So I'm really looking for a 3.9 unweighted GPA. Now, SAT scores is ideally a 1550 or higher. I have had some students who have gone into great schools with lower stats, of course, but if you really want to be competitive with the cream of the crop students, then a 1550 is really what you want. As far as the number of APs, I usually recommend getting at least 5 AP exams by the conclusion of your junior year, because that will get you the AP Scholar with Distinction Award. But if you want to be in the top 1% of students in the country, then getting anywhere between ideally 8 AP exams by the end of junior year, that should maximize your odds of acceptance. Now, like I said, a lot of students have perfect grades and stats. So having even a 3.9 unweighted GPA, 1550 plus on the SATs, and 8 APs by the end of junior year, you're considered strong, but still you need a way to stand out. And so that really goes into the next part of my equation, which are extracurricular activities. When it comes to standing out with regards to your extracurricular activities, you really want to have a unique theme and hook that no one else has. I've seen too many students with the same theme and hook over and over again that just doesn't help them stand out. For example, teaching STEM to underprivileged students. I literally see these activities thousands of times over the course of my career as a college admissions consultant. It just does not help students stand out. Or volunteering at the hospital to help the elderly. There's so many students with these extracurricular activities that it just doesn't give the extra oomph that's going to separate them from all the thousands of other applicants out there. You might ask, okay, so Eric, if you're saying all these themes and hooks don't work, then what actually works? I could give you a few examples here. We helped 2 sisters who wanted to study neuroscience and cognitive science to help athletes achieve their peak performance. And so that's a very unique theme and hook that literally was singular in nature that no other student had at the time of application. And their passion project revolved around wearing an EEG Muse headset as they putt the golf ball that tracks their brainwave signals to forecast their golf putting accuracy, because their brainwave signals have implications for focus, concentration, restful sleep, and other factors. And so these EEG brainwave signals would be able to forecast their golf putting accuracy using deep learning and neural networks. And their passion project, which also became a research project, advanced to the Junior Science and Humanities Symposium. Another theme and hook that worked really well was a student who wanted to study anthropology as a way to address social justice and prison reform. And so this was a very unique theme and hook that that student played that was able to get her a spot at Yale through this social impact that's also tied to their academic passions. And so the whole idea here is you really want to identify what your academic passions are and how you're going to leverage that to create social impact, because that's ultimately what admissions officers want to see. And so when we work with students, we try to identify what their academic passions are, the social impact that they want to make, and then we want to build the extracurricular profile around their theme and hook. Now, when it comes to building an amazing extracurricular profile, the first thing you need is a leadership organization in which you're present founder. And so we help students typically establish their nonprofit organization. Some of our students have even been featured on Forbes magazine for their nonprofit. And you really want to create scalable impact that's going to really impress the admissions officers and market your candidacy. Now, behind this leadership organization, you want to support it with different passion projects. So a passion project might be something that caters to your academic interests and to create social impact. It might be a self-published Amazon book. It might be a public policy proposal that reduces greenhouse gas emissions, or it might even be a mobile app that improves speech impairment for autistic children. The idea here is, how are you creating social impact behind your academic passions? Now, behind this leadership organization and passion projects, which we help our students build through our program, the second part of this equation is science research. Now, there's typically two objectives that you want to make when it comes to science research. The first thing is you want to get a research publication, because at the end of the day, these universities are research-driven universities, and by getting a research publication, that's really going to help you stand out. The second piece of this puzzle is you then want to use that research to compete in science fair competitions, whether it's a Regeneron Science and Engineering Fair or the Junior Science and Humanities Symposium, or even submitting this research project to the Davidson Fellows, which is a scholarship program for some of the highest achieving high school students in the country. Using the research and getting an outcome out of it is extremely important. And so at Admission Site, we actually have our own in-house research program where we help students build a cutting-edge research project using advanced math, statistics, computer science, machine learning, and even hardware-based systems where we use this cutting-edge research to solve a real problem in society, whether it's renewable energy, whether it's photovoltaic cells and space exploration, or even expanding healthcare access to other countries, or tackling diseases through computational biology. So research is really important, because at the end of the day, you have to realize that these universities are research-driven institutions. Now, the third part of this equation is competitive summer programs. That might mean the Research Science Institute like RSI, or the Summer Science Program like SSP. You really want to get into a competitive summer program, because getting into one of these top 10 summer programs is going to dramatically increase your odds of acceptance. For humanities students, that might mean the Stanford Humanities Institute or the Iowa Young Writers Workshop. These summer programs are summer programs that Ivy Leagues respect, and so getting into these highly competitive summer programs will increase your odds of acceptance. Now, we talked about the leadership organization with passion projects. We talked about a research project with the research publication and science fairs, even for STEM and humanities students. And we also talk about summer programs. Now, beyond this, it's joining school clubs. And I always say that joining school clubs like Model United Nations or Science Olympiad or Speech and Debate are helpful because they could get you awards. But you also have to realize that there are 20,000 high schools in the country, and every single high school has these school clubs that you join. And so joining these school clubs are helpful, but they're not really going to separate you apart. What's really going to separate you apart are the passion projects, your nonprofit organization, getting a published research paper, and really attending a highly competitive summer program. So we really help our students with these different areas to help them set themselves apart. Now, the fifth part of this equation is volunteerism, or civic engagement. So we actually help our students identify volunteering opportunities to get either the Presidential Volunteering Service Award, Silver or Gold, or the Congressional Award. And these are volunteering awards that would improve your candidacy by helping you get awards. Because when it comes to the application, there's a section for awards and honors, and ideally you want to report some recognition there. Now, we talked about extracurriculars, we talked about academics, Leagues. Now, what I say usually separates the boys from the men or the girls from the women, so to speak, when it comes to the top 10 schools is regional and national awards and honors. And so usually there's 5 different ways to get regional awards and honors. The first way is through academic competitions. This might mean the Math and Science Olympiad or the National Speech and Debate, and this could be highly competitive. So for students who find timed exams a little bit challenging, academic competitions may be a little bit too difficult, but competing in these academic competitions certainly require lots of preparation, and if you do well, it would increase your odds of getting in. Now, the second way, which doesn't require a timed exam, is research publications and science fairs. And so I really vouch for this because you have all the time in the world to get a research project done and compete in science fair competitions, which doesn't require you to take a timed exam. And that's exactly what our in-house program specializes in. The third way of getting regional awards and honors is through writing competitions, like the Scholastic Art and Writing, the John Locke Essay Contest, or the Young Arts. These are the 3 most important writing competitions for high school students. The fourth part of this equation is national media attention. So for example, getting featured in Forbes or AP Press or Digital Journal for your nonprofit and passion projects is another way to get awards that would improve your candidacy. We actually have a whole playbook when we work with students on getting them national media attention, and this works especially well for students who may get nervous about academic competitions and may find that a little bit too much for their taste. And lastly, the fifth way of getting awards and honors is through scholarship programs. So whether it's National Merit or the Coca-Cola Scholars, getting elite scholarship and applying to elite scholarship programs could also increase your odds of acceptance. So if you take everything into consideration today, if you want to work with us to build an amazing academic and extracurricular profile, we also offer private tutoring, whether it's for SATs, APs, or Olympiad training, then definitely reach out to us. We help our students come up with an amazing academic game plan backed by solid extracurricular activities that really helps them stand out, that supports a unique hook and theme, and also doing this on a regional or national level. So if you liked what we had to talk about today and you want to work with us on really building out an incredible academic and extracurricular profile, give us a like and also contact us in the link in our bio and in the comments below to book an initial consultation, and we'll help you get your foot into a top tier Ivy League school, Stanford or MIT.